Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? Because it's time to put them on, Ontario. Because the conversation starts now.
Oh, I've got quite a busy day. I've been working on my business, but tonight I'm going to be part of one of the other things that's a passion of mine, which is called Friends of the Library. I'm on the executive board, and tonight we're having the annual general meeting at the library. So all the
big muckety mucks, all the scholars.
essentially. And on that board, I'm the secretary. So I have to take all the minutes and make sure everything is sort of organized. And
I'm on a
so I've
committee
been,
now too for a big money making gala. My mentor,
Mhm.
I saw that woman clean the clock, honey. She raised $10 million in 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I know she's a beast.
Well, this particular, we have quite a large library system in, I live in London, Ontario, which is near Toronto. And ours is a volunteer organization. It's considered like a charity, but they have a bookstore that they sell used items like used books, DVDs, this, that, and the other, that they raise money. And they go to different other events and raise money. So in the last few years, they've raised well over $1 million that have been contributed to the library system. And they're a really energetic group of people. So
You know,
I
a
I love it.
library is just such a staple. Just
Yeah.
the feel and the touch and the smell of a library and
Oh,
all that it brings
absolutely.
through and just all that, it's endless. The world is endless. So are you. Brains, I forgot to tell you where we are. We're here on the edge. We just got to chatting it up about culture. You guys have culture? Are you philanthropic? So I was telling you, Carol, I'm on this board, and what they're doing is called Vroom, and they are taking a portion of San Diego's historical auto museum and making it a workshop for underserved and overlooked youth.
Hmm.
And I mean, they are going all out.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, it's gonna be a race car theme. I love doing that kind of stuff. Doesn't
It's
it do your heart good to
Oh, it does. And
make
is it one with like older cars, or are
Oh,
they
honey,
new?
classic like the Bonnie
Oh
and
wow.
Clydes and and motorcycles.
Oh boy.
I'll send you some I'm going to after I talk to you, I'm going to the meeting. I was so happy to be a part of that, because to be a part of something bigger than something, of self is so giving, and you're a giving kind of woman. Tell us how you show up in the world.
Well, I'm definitely was raised to be giving, because I really model myself after my parents, because they were very, very big all through their life on volunteering and giving back, mostly in their church. I mean, I've done it in other ways, but it was just as natural to me to say, how can I help you in some organization if they needed it? And I get a great deal of joy and happiness out of doing that. Plus, sometimes you get to go to some really nifty events.
Oh, I'm
And
telling you, this gala, it is just the food and just being in the room just makes you feel good.
mhm, yeah.
Being in the room.
So I would say it's almost as natural to me as breathing to be
Mm.
a concerned, giving person, mostly because, my parents modeled that for me all of my life, and they were still volunteering well into their 80s,
Mm.
and that they've passed on now, unfortunately. But I'm continuing doing that. And I have a twin sister, and she does
No.
exactly the same thing. She's
Is
on,
she identical twin?
yes, she is.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
And we are both on this board for the Friends of the Library Association, and she's the newsletter editor, and I'm the secretary.
Oh, well,
So
take a picture and send me a picture of you and your twin sister. I want to
I
see.
certainly will. So
That's really good. That's really good. But you're doing more than that. You are working with the woman that is taxed out, that has the overachiever syndrome, can never say no, no self care, you know,
Hmm.
uh, overlooking herself. What are you doing in that space right now?
Well, it's interesting that you asked me that because right now I'm taking my whole business and repositioning it. Um, Especially before COVID, I was doing one-on-one coaching with women entrepreneurs. And then when COVID came, I had to switch to online because people just were not getting, together in person. So since COVID is now, it's going in the past, but I'm
No,
switching my
no,
whole.
it's not. They just took it off CNN. They talk
Oh,
about
okay.
gas prices.
Well, anyways, I've pivoted my whole business. I'm going online. I'm going towards group coaching so I can get my message to more people. Plus, I'm busy designing some online courses that will be available for women at a very, reasonable cost, or, I'm going to have a few free
Are you
ones
gonna
as well.
Are you gonna have a few beta groups? Brains, let me
Yes.
tell you something. Let me tell you something
Absolute.
about the
Yes,
beta group.
yes. Yeah.
I
So
encourage it
that's
all the
upcoming.
time. Yeah, I encourage it all the time because that way it is a win-win. You get an opportunity to buy into one of Carol's programs for a very minimal fee, go through the whole process, and provide feedback, which is so
Hmm.
valuable. She'll use that data in turn and mark it and tweak it and do whatever she is going to do. And it's a win win. I used to do market researches, I used to do focus groups. All of that data collecting is so important. Let's talk about the data in our life that we just keep up here in this, as I used to call it, a mainframe. What is the negative self talk? What is the chatter? How do we turn it off?
That is such a basic question because I noticed in myself probably when I was in my 20s. I used to always say, when someone would compliment me, I say, like, they'd say, that's a really nice dress or this and that. And I'd say, oh, well, I got it cheap or this old thing. Or someone would give you praise for doing, a good job, say, oh, well, I thought, why am I putting myself down? So then when I got in my 30s, I got more into like studying personal development and other more positive things. And I thought, well, I have to be my own best friend because if I'm not supporting me, like I saw it written one time, would you speak to your best friend and say really horrible, negative things that you say to yourself? Would you say that to your best friend? And I said, no. And they said, well, you are your own best friend.
Mm,
And that really lit a light bulb for me. I thought, that is so true. Um, it's just amazing. So I've made it sort of my passion to empower and help other women, especially when they're down and negative about themselves. It's like,
right,
well, you can always find something positive and every day about yourself that you
something.
did. Maybe you smile at somebody in the grocery store who's having a bad day, or you give a few dollars to someone who's down and out, on the street, or just something about you that
Right,
helps other people.
right.
Doesn't have to be anything big, and you start thinking about what you've done over the past week, few months, and people are basically really, really good at heart. There are some that are not, but I just believe in the absolute positive goodness in people. And
I do too.
that is just
I
something.
was telling my granddaughters, they're here visiting, and they're at that age. I have questions that really spark an interest in their mind. And we walked past this man, and he was down on his luck. He was on the street. But let me tell you something. His skin was like velvet. It was beautiful. It was glowing. And my granddaughter's kind of hunched up, and he said, "Hi, how you doing?" I said, "You don't have to get too close, but he's still a human being. Don't dehumanize him because everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story as to why they are out here in the world. So being very philanthropic and being grateful and paying it forward, that is the gateway, brains. If you do that, everything else is secondary because the universe
Absolutely.
accepts that. They say, you know what, this is the vernacular. This is what we're talking about in this head right now. Let's bring it forward. Do you do a lot of like, I don't know, what do you do to sharpen your knife? Do you read? Do you meditate? Do you walk? Do you paint? What do you do?
Well, I do a lot of reading, and I also do quite a lot of walking, when the weather is
Mm,
good. And I call them like walking meditations because I love being out in the neighborhood where I am. There's not a lot of parks, but a lot of nice suburban streets with trees and beautiful gardens, and just walking along. I notice things, to stay mindful, to stay in the moment. And I always say, thank you every day that, I get up. I have a roof over my head. I have enough food. And then I look for ways like, how can I pay this back? Just, not going out of my way, but I'm always saying to myself, thank you. And it's so important to have
I
gratitude in your life.
I do too. I ask myself too, how can it get any better than this? And what else is possible?
Yeah.
You know, it's always something. So let's talk to the woman entrepreneur really quickly. Uh, about, oops, I'm sorry. Let's give me a second. Let me count this back in. One, two, three. So Carol, let's talk about the woman entrepreneur
Right.
that has the overachiever syndrome. That she's got to be this perfectionist. Um, but in reality, it shows up as low self esteem because she says to herself she's never enough. What do you say to that woman?
To that woman, I say to her, okay, let's say we've got, let's take 15 minutes. We're just going to concentrate on you because you probably don't even give yourself that amount of time during the day because everything else is more important. And then we have a bit of a conversation with her and say, okay, what do you like about yourself? What do you think you're good at? And how is this showing up in your life? And if they say, well, I can't think of anything, then I try to get them to think of just two or three positive things that have happened in their life. I say, well, look, that was you who did that. And that is the inner you. I get them to focus on, some people call it the inner child. I call it the inner you.
Mm,
Get friendly with that person and bring her out because that's your best friend. Because there's the expression me, myself, and I.
mhm.
So we're never alone. If you think, there's all sorts of different thoughts about how we connect to each other in life and whatever. But I always thought I've never been alone because being a twin, I've always had my sister
Right,
with me.
right.
And that's what I look for,
How does
that
that
connection
feel?
in
Do you?
people.
How does that feel authentically? Do you feel her energy, her pain? You don't.
Oh, yes. I'll tell you a little story. I used to work in Geneva, Switzerland for several years, and my sister worked in Toronto, and there's a time difference of about 6 hours. So sometimes I'd be at work feeling really down and no energy. And all of a sudden, I get this rush of energy, and I was all set to go. And then my sister would contact me a bit later. She said, were you sort of like down and this and that about whatever time? Because all her energy would drain away and she felt like she just had to have a nap. So we would feel that. And then I can sense too, sometimes she would not be well. And I would give her a call and say, you're not feeling well, are you? And it's just something I can feel and sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I can only imagine a twin of me. Good gracious.
So,
Well, that is amazing. Tell us about the books. I know that you've been in 4 anthologies, but share with us a couple of the ones that you've been in and what a little bit about your contribution.
okay. Um, I've been in, as you say, a few. One of the first ones I was in, it's called Ready, Aim, Inspire. I just sort of show you the
Oh,
thing.
oh, that's a pretty cover. I like that. Let me see the people down below. Those are the other contributors. Oh, look at you. You're right in the middle. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, this was a This was an excellent one. I was very impressed with this because we had Joe Vital was in this,
Oh.
and he's very well known. I liked this one because it was all about positive contributions that each writer had in their life. And mine was about how to use your passion to create a positive life for yourself. So I
Mm.
had about 3 or 4 pages to write about that, and a little bit about the women I'd worked with and my life. And it was so inspiring. I just really, really loved that one.
Mm.
And it got to be a bestseller. So
Wow, look at
it
you.
may not be my personal book, but I'm working on a book of my own.
But you know what?
But
Any body of work, and a lot of people get lost in the pages of anthologies. You have to bring that out. I mean, because you may not be at the front or the back of the book, but you still have a very valuable
now,
contribution. And I tell people all the time, boast about that. Are you kidding me?
yep. Now, the most recent one I was in about a year or so ago, it's called Dance in My Life. And this they had 27 contributors in that, and it said women who walk through the fire of life leave sparks of light wherever they go, and they illuminate the path for the future for women to come. And this was exciting to be in because we actually did it through weekly masterminds over a period of about 3 months. Everybody did their contributions, and then the lady who was the editor just had this beautiful cover designed, and I got personal growth out of it. I mean, I made some wonderful friends of the other authors, and I tell you, that was one of the best experiences I ever had.
Leaving a legacy. Carol, in closing, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I would like to think when people hear my name, they would say, ah, I remember Carol. She was always there, ready to help. She always had a kind word, a big smile, and I felt better for knowing her.
That's beautiful. And I feel better for knowing you. I give you your flowers now. Thank you so much for being here with me and the Brains on the Edge. Brains, I'm gonna get uh, Carol to give you all of her pertinent information. I need you to love, like, and share right here. Love, like, and share. One more time. Love, like, and share. It costs you zero, but it means like so much to me and everybody out here in the world. Thank you, Carol, for coming in from Ontario, Canada, to vibe with me and my brains to raise our frequency of love and consciousness. You are a beautiful soul. How can they get in contact with you?
They can get in contact with me through my website, which is www period thepassionmotivator.com, and I have a contact link there. Or I also have a free ebook about success that they can sign up for and get. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. So,
Okay. So she's Googleable. Googleable.
yes, I am.
Put it in there, brains. I'm going to put it in the back of the show notes. But really, take heart to what she's saying and be gentle with yourself. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much.
Bye, brains.